seems like everywhere I look these days, I'm seeing something about CDs are coming back.
Who is saying that? I've never heard anybody saying that. Top 10 DVDs. This is not even CDs. This is a dishonest argument here, bro. So this guy's presenting an argument that no one's making. This is a straw man.
The thing I hear the most is the compression.
Not that type of compression, dude. Oh wait, is he talking about digital compression?
It's compressed audio as well.
If we're talking about actual compression, CDs are still compressed.
And see if it is a pressing that's been brick walled or has no dynamic range in it, so they can avoid it. For a lot of people, they're buying CDs because of this.
What? Okay, is it just me or was that a terrible take? Bro, CDs are compressed as too. What do you mean? Am I crazy or does this guy not know shit? The 3 biggest reasons to go back to CDs. All right, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna disagree with this heavily.
What is going on with CDs? It seems like everywhere I look these days, I'm seeing something about CDs are coming back.
Who is saying that? I've never heard anybody saying that.
They're gonna be back.
I feel like the only people saying that probably have some sort of vested interest in CDs. Where are these channels saying this here? 2 years ago. This one's 2 years ago. This one's making a thing about how bad it's gotten. So none of this is saying it's back. Why you should buy CDs now in 2024. Top 10 DVDs. This is not even CDs. This is a dishonest argument here, bro. This is none of this is saying why. There's one video saying this right here. And then one 2 years ago. This guy's just doing an experiment. And this is a hybrid form that's never existed. This guy's presenting an argument that no one's making. This is a straw man.
They're back. They're gonna be back. Start buying them. And while I've been very skeptical of this, after talking to customers, friends, people that are just starting to pick
I don't even have like a working CD player anymore anywhere.
Up CDs, I've been asking them, why? I really don't.
Okay, as far as physical media goes, get you some records, man. This is way cooler in my opinion. This is way cooler. Or cassettes. Cassettes kind of suck though. I hate rewinding them.
I don't think it's all.
I don't know. CDs. I'm over CDs, so.
Just nostalgia. There are a couple things I didn't really consider. One of them is actually pretty scary, and they definitely got me thinking. And I think you might feel the same way after hearing this. Let's talk about.
It's really weird to embrace CDs because I feel like, especially as like an older person like this, I feel like you would probably embrace like vinyl or tapes more. It would make more sense. You know what I mean? It's like a very specific era of media. It's really, I don't know. You get that burial anniversary wax? Yes. It's over here. Hold on.
A few moments later.
Boom. 20th anniversary. They are expensive though. They are expensive.
CDs and whether or not they're coming back. It's crazy. It's going to be fun. Here.
It is the smallest media, but I mean, obviously like pure digital is even smaller. Like if we're going digital, let's go full digital.
Here we go. And this video is brought to you by Skylab's Audio.
Don't care.
In the channel in Iowa. And I was an early adopter of CDs back in the mid 80s.
CDs just get damaged so easily.
Still remember the first time I saw and heard a CD. I was at a buddy's house. His dad was a doctor. They were pretty well off. They had like laser discs, the big, huge VCRs, the ones that were more.
I probably would actually watch the ad to support, but then I feel like this guy's kind of dishonest with this video, and I don't know. I probably don't like this video, so I don't really want to support by watching the ad. Normally I would though for watching other people's videos.
Expensive than cars back in the day, practically. I mean, they just had everything that was cool and new. And I remember one time I went over there and he says, "This is a CD player." He pulled out the shiny disc, he set it in the tray, he hit play, and my mind was blown. Not because of the sound, but the ability to skip tracks. And he goes, "If you think that's crazy, watch this."
I mean, you skip tracks with vinyl too. You just fucking move the needle. It's just like a slightly different method that may take longer if you're not experienced with it, but it's not really, I don't really think it's impressive.
And then he hit repeat. And that was it. I was sold.
He hit repeat. I was absolutely shocked.
I knew I had to have one. And that Christmas or the next, I remember my parents bought me my first CD player, and it was not.
Yeah, there's just something about vinyl that's more interesting to me. I don't know. I don't even know exactly what it is. It's not even really the sound per se. It does sound good, but it doesn't sound like, I do agree with AP Mastering's take. It doesn't really sound that different, but I don't know. For some reason, it's more enjoyable to me. I don't know exactly what it is about it, but I generally just enjoy vinyl more than other formats. Tape is really cool, but I just hate rewinding tape. That is the one thing about tape. I can't get behind that. It takes too long.
Not the greatest thing in the world, but I loved that thing. And it worked forever. It was a Uniden or something like that. And so I was all in on CDs. I worked at CD shops. I had a lot of CDs for a person with my budget. It's pretty much all I spent money on. I was one of those people that had those albums. It held like 100 CDs. You'd have like 4 on each page and you'd flip through it and you'd kind of scratch up your CDs, taking them in and out because they weren't that great. And then I had them in my car.
Yeah, you'd scratch them up and then they stop working. I know you can fix that, but it's a pain in the ass.
And it was a pain in the butt when you got
exactly
home. You forgot you left a CD that you want to hear out in your car. You had to run out there and go grab it. They were everywhere. Nothing was organized, but it was how it was done back then. And then enter the 2000s with the MP3. That was my next mind explosion. Even though the audio wasn't as good as the CDs, the portability, you could.
Yeah, I know. He's just describing what a pain in the ass it is.
Couldn't touch, and I loved it. And having every piece of music.
Records ruin when they get scratched. I think it takes a lot more to ruin a record than it does to ruin a CD. Because I've scratched records and they play fine. I scratch CDs and they don't play anymore.
That I own on an MP3.
Like it takes the amount of damage you need to do a record in order for it to not work anymore is pretty substantial. The CD, like one scratch ruins like almost like a majority of it.
Player. I wasn't going out to critically listen to music.
It really doesn't make sense to me to take this stance because I feel like if you're gonna like be like stoked on digital, you should be stoked on the most like the more like optimal versions of digital, like MP3 players, streaming. Well, obviously with streaming though, like you're not getting the best quality, but there are platforms that are introducing lossless. Temperature affects vinyl more than CDs. Yeah, but some CDs skip, you can't even see a scratch on it. True.
Music in my car or at my job.
I remember being blown away by doing MP3s, like first using Napster.
I just wanted to be able to carry all of my music with me in my pocket. And then when the streaming services started offering,
I do agree with owning physical media. Yeah,
$10 a month. I thought, there's no way I'm never getting my CDs out again. They're just gonna live in my basement in boxes. It's too convenient. It's too cheap to stream. I thought that was it. I thought that was a final nail in the coffin for CDs. And while asking,
is that Pyrocynical there? Got Pyrocynical working in the studio?
Some of my friends and the people that come into the store why they're getting back into CDs, the thing I hear the most is the compression. And while radio stations...
Not that type of compression, dude. Oh, wait, is he talking about digital compression?
Compressed audio as well. They didn't want a lot of...
If we're talking about actual compression, CDs are still compressed.
Variance from song to song with the volumes, so you're having to turn up and down the volume constantly. They would add compression. Not only that, but if some...
Bro, what? Dude, you think CDs are just like all quiet? There's no compression involved with CDs? What? Hold on.
Well, they didn't want a lot of variance from song to song with the volumes. So
this guy doesn't... Audio. Am I crazy or does this guy not know shit?
My friends and the people that come into the store, why they're getting back into CDs. The thing I hear the most is the compression.
Okay, I think what he's talking about is digital compression, but what he's showing here on the screen is not digital compression.
And while radio stations compressed audio as well, they didn't want a lot of variance from song to song with the volumes, so you're having to turn up and down the volume constantly. They would add compression. Not only that, but if somebody's scrolling across the FM dial, they want their signal to be nice and hot, so the people...
No, he's saying that radio is compressed a lot.
People stay on it. And then in the...
I would say all this shit is compressed a lot.
2000s, compression really kind of went to another level, where they were pushing the levels of the mix to the extreme to get their music to sound louder than everybody else's. And it became what was known as the loudness wars. One album in particular is kind of a standout here, Metallica's Death Magnetic. And they even started a term for this called brick walling. The problem is with streaming, unlike CDs where you can go to Discogs and other websites and see what pressing you're getting, feedback on the audio quality of that pressing, was it overly compressed? Is there good dynamic range? With a streaming service, a lot of times you don't get that at all. And I think for a lot of people, that's important.
You're not paying money for it. I mean, you're not paying per song, that's why. Why would you need a review of it? Just fucking listen to it and then don't use it if you don't want to. That's dumb.
Important enough for them to go out and either buy used CDs from back in...
Yeah, man, there's no reviews when I'm listening on Spotify, there's no reviews of the compression of the song. It's trash, you know? I mean, I pay monthly for all this shit. I can listen to whatever the fuck I want.
A day before the loudness wars, or to get on Discogs or other sites and see if it is a pressing that's been brick walled or has no dynamic range in it, so they can avoid it. For a lot of people, they're buying CDs because of this.
What? Okay, is it just me or was that a terrible take? Bro, CDs are compressed as fuck too. What do you mean? Dude, this is just misinformation, bro. That's crazy. His point makes sense. Do you think CDs aren't compressed too?
And this one,
yeah, no, the standard is like -8 or -9, -10 LUFS on CDs. Like that shit is compressed as hell.
Absolutely terrifies me. And I got a feeling it's going to terrify a few of you as well. And that is the use of Autotune with some of our favorite classic albums that are being remixed. And for instance, the 2024 remix of Queen's Queen 1.
I feel like a majority of the albums doing this though, they make a specific, like a different version for this. Like they have like the original and then they have like the remaster. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if they do for this one here, but usually that's what they do. Usually.
Has been noted for using pitch correction. We're talking about Freddie Mercury. You don't need to auto-tune Freddie Mercury.
That's also not Autotune. This is Melodyne here. God, this guy doesn't know shit, dude. He doesn't know shit. You're literally showing Melodyne on the screen. Autotune is not Melodyne. Melodyne sounds much more natural.
We're talking about Freddie Mercury. You don't need to auto-tune Freddie Mercury. That's crazy. And if they've done that with Freddie Mercury, who else is going to get auto-tuned in the future? You know,
it's a live album.
I personally like the flaws. I think a lot of you like the flaws in that music. That's what makes it real. You know, there's no beat detective making the drums all go to a grid and sound like a drum machine. There's feel. You know, there's push and pull.
What was he showing there? This is why you can't speak on these topics if you don't know what you're talking about. I don't know. This looks like Serato's sample. Is that fucking Serato's sample? Wait, what is this? That's not Serato's sample. What is this? It looks like Serato's sample, but it's something different.
Grid and sound like a drum machine. There's feel. You know, there's push and pull. I think it's where you get all the realness and the humanity in a vocal is being a little bit pitchy. I'm really shocked
Beat
that a
Detective
label would even entertain that idea. I'll take my tinfoil hat off and I'll admit that I don't think this is
Record Box. What the fuck? Is this guy just going to show different shit every single time he talks about something?
Spread. I hope not. But I have also heard that...
Yeah, this is the kind of shit that's dangerous about this though. This is a video with 500,000 views, 23,000 likes, positive like ratio. Just like, come on, bro. It's just like fucking misinformation, man.
This younger generation that's
like, and it's not even, I get the point he's making, but he's just trying too hard to make this into like a longer video. When in reality, the whole thing is like they might change shit and you don't own things. That's like the real problem with not owning something, you know, not owning a physical copy of something. Like they can change something at any point. That's really the only reason.
Coming up, because most of the music they've listened to has been auto-tuned, pitch corrected, and using beat detective on everything, they're kind of rejecting music that isn't manipulated like that. You know, it might be hard for some of us to wrap our mind around that, but if you've never heard a natural voice or drums with a lot of push and pull, hearing that might be a little bit abrasive. It might seem bad. Maybe in 20 or 30 years, we'll end up with two different mixes. You know, you can choose. Do you want it the old way?
This guy sounds like he's just permanently on ketamine.
Or do you want it the new way with no imperfections at all? It's crazy. And according to
it's crazy, man.
AI, there's also evidence of Prince and Michael Jackson being auto-tuned. I don't know how true that is. It's AI, but
what? What do you mean? Wait, hold on. Are we talking about Autotune or are we talking about AI here? Are we talking about Melodyne? What are we talking about?
And according to AI, there's also evidence of...
Okay, it's talking about AI overview. Okay. Yeah, don't trust AI.
And Michael Jackson being auto-tuned. I don't know how true that is. It's AI, but there's got to be something there. And I wouldn't put it...
There's got to be something there. AI said something. It's kind of funny to be like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand the problem with like quantization and autotune to a point. But the fact you're sourcing AI here, come on, bro. You're sourcing AI and you don't even know if it's fucking true. That's another problem here, man.
There's got to be something there.
There's got to be something there. AI said something.
And I wouldn't. Autotune and Beat Detective are a pretty powerful tool. I think it's really easy for an artist.
Oh, we got Pyrocynical again.
To just go in there and flub it just a little. And once you say, okay, just this one time, you know how it is.
Wait, hold on a second. Is this like playing at the correct speed?
And then another one is re-recording.
I'm just gonna speed them
I've
up.
seen this quite a few times. And usually it's for the reason of when the artist signed their contract, they might own the songs, but they
Yes, my contract, that says contract on the top.
don't own the recordings. And when you've got a song that just takes off and you're not receiving money every time it gets played, royalties, that type of thing, you could see why they might want to go into the studio, re-record it. That way they own the recording of it and they start getting all the money. And this has been done by a lot of bands. Def Leppard.
It was on 0.5x. I don't think it was there. It might have been like a little slower at some point. I don't think it was like that the whole time though, right?
ELO.
I definitely speeded them up though.
Taylor Swift. And you might be feeling nostalgic one day. You're like, I want to listen to Hysteria by Def Leppard. And all of a sudden the song comes on. You're like, that doesn't sound right. That sounds weird. I mean, I know it's them, but I don't remember it sounding like this. You know, you got to figure there's quite a few years on some of these
Well, a mastering engineer wouldn't fix the MJ vocals. That would be a mixing engineer.
people now. It just,
Mastering engineer, unless they have the stems. But generally a mastering engineer is like, they're dealing with the final mix down already.
doesn't sound right. And you're right. And it's because it's been re-recorded. That is definitely a reason to own the CD or a hard copy of it from a previous version.
So let me get this straight. Well, you know, I mean, I agree with him here. I do agree with him here. But it's like, it's just funny. We can't trust the mixing and mastering engineers, but we also cannot trust the artists themselves. We can't trust anyone, essentially, is what I'm saying here.
I get it. And so why a few years ago when people would come in and they say that, you know, they're ripping all of their CDs to a hard drive, I did kind of chuckle a little bit. You know, what are you worried about? Just get a streaming service. It's $10 a month. You can have everything you ever wanted. Just hit play. Maybe they were onto something. I'm glad I kept my CDs. I don't know if I'm going to jump in with both legs buying more CDs, but if the labels keep on doing stuff like this, it's definitely going to push me that direction. That's for sure. Who knows? Maybe the generation coming up will just pass us off as being over the hill, stuck in our ways, and we'll be the last ones to consider this music from our generation and the generation prior that it has historical significant value, and we don't want it messed with. We like dynamic range. We like the flaws, and we don't want people messing with it.
Yeah, this guy's know what he's talking about, bro. Like dynamic range, CDs often don't have dynamic range also. I would say a majority of them, unless they're very old.
But we'll have to see. For the younger generation getting in, their big draw might be the tactile feel of it. You know, you have to think people that are 20 years or younger probably didn't have physical media growing up. They didn't have DVDs or CDs, cassettes. Everything was either on a little tablet or their phone or streaming through their TV. So having something physical that has artwork you can hold in your hand, the ritual side of placing it in the CD tray, all those things that we grew up with that we kind of looked at as being annoying, it might be kind of fun to them. It might be exciting for them.
Yeah, I agree with that, Logan. Yeah, that's pretty much the only like good point here. But I feel like it's a point that's been made long before. Just having a physical copy of something ensures that it stays that way, and nobody can change that. I mean, that's you know, it's true for games, for music, movies, whatever.
Get it? I get it. I think for my friends and I, it really comes down to we want
Technically, you could just buy the you could just buy the MP3 too,
the original music. We don't.
or Wave, I guess, or FLAC.
I think it'd be fun in the next couple weeks to do a video on CD players. I think it'll be fun. Make sure to hit the subscribe button if you don't.
I don't know if that would be fun.
I appreciate you watching another one. Thank you.
Fuck, dude. That was terrible. That was fucking terrible. It's just, I don't know, man. YouTube needs to reward people for making shorter videos again, because like, it, you know, when you try to force people to make long videos and everything, they just start saying nonsense. They'll say shit they don't know anything about. This guy's knowledge on compression is about equivalent to my knowledge on high level cooking. Like, I don't know shit about that, but I'm not gonna fucking make a video about it. I think if anything, like I think the point he should have made about the compression was maybe like lossy compression. That could have been an actual point there. Whereas, you know, CDs, I think, wait, are CDs aren't, they're 16-bit, but they're not compressed. That's like that's an actual thing there. But there are lossless streaming services now that you can do on Apple Music, right? I don't think Spotify's done it yet.
So I get it.
Yeah. What about dithering? What about dithering? What about it? What about it?